Hi everyone, my name is Zeka. I'm 19, I go by they, them pronouns. Today we're going to be redesigning two of my super old OCs, and I'm really excited because I haven't touched them in quite a while, but hope you enjoy. Let's go! The first character that we're going to be redesigning today is named Hele.
I came up with it after looking up a Chinese name generator on Google, don't judge me, and ended up really liking Hele.
He is a Chinese character that means too great, or one of the meanings is too great, and Le is thunder. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly.
He is a tiger, sort of. I don't know what kind of species. I never thought to go too in depth about it.
When I was coming up with his personality, all I really knew is that I wanted him to be really silly and really goofy, because most of my characters are kind of aloof and, stoic.
Yeah, as stereotypical and as basic as that is.
But I really have always liked the trope where
guys are just being silly and being themselves and being goofy and stuff.
Not sure if any of you guys have watched this, but 19 Days, for example, where
every character is just so human, and I really love that trope.
All the guys in that manga, I'm not sure, are just incredibly stupid, and they keep getting into problems and doing stupid things that makes those problems worse, and it's just really funny. Another good example is just if you go on TikTok and happen to come across a video of a bunch of men in a bathroom, I love those videos because all of them are really funny, and they're just doing the most wild stuff, and it's so entertaining.
I always really like reading or watching stuff that just follows people being silly, so that's kind of what I based his personality off of. So Hele is just a really chill guy.
Hele has a tendency to be impulsive and really stupid when he's making decisions, and I thought it would be really fun to draw character interactions where it's just like a friend group hanging out, and I really think that it'd be fun to, explore his personality some more, other than, just being a goofy guy. But some flaws that I thought of were maybe that although he's silly and, sometimes very high energy, he is so incredibly lazy, as most tigers are. So Hele is probably gonna be my go-to meme template guy from here on out. So since the full body was so simple and I actually finished it a lot faster than I thought I would, I figured I would have enough time to explore some expressions with Hele as a character. And the first one I ended up drawing was him kind of talking back, sneering at someone in an arrogant manner. It kind of looks like he's angry, but that is not what I was trying to convey with the expression. Expressions is definitely something that I have to work on as an artist because I'm not good at conveying expression, and I wish I was. But everyone has their flaws, and it's something that I need to work on. This second expression is of Hele crying, and you can't see it in the image because I did not convey it very properly, but Hele is well built, and he's buff, but not in a bodybuilder kind of sense. He's just jacked. And those type of characters you don't really see being vulnerable. Well, you get the point. But I thought it'd be fun to give him a sillier expression, since his other two, you'll see the other one later, but his other two make him super cocky, which was not my intention. So expressions are something that I definitely need to work on.
and I will probably be trying to practice more in the future. But yeah, this drawing actually took me quite a while to finish because I was having a hard time making Hale look right. I don't know, it was like the hair or like it was always something. It was like I didn't know how to fix it. But I ended up, getting it somewhat right, and I really like how it turned out because it makes him feel really silly, and that is exactly what I intended it to be because he is just a goofball, a little arrogant goofball, and yeah. Hale is not a character that is afraid of showing his emotions, and I feel like it really charm like other people to care for him and want to hang out and do the stupid shit with him, even though like it'll get them into trouble. And it's just like always fun to have that person and always have like comedic relief, I guess, but like if he needs to, he can switch up and he can start being serious. In the third expression, I tried to draw Hile smiling, but I don't think I ended up conveying that properly either, and it just ended up making him look like he was just being super smug about something, which is also pretty accurate to his character, so we'll take it, I guess. I originally intended for him to have like a unique smile, how some characters have like a special smile and it's not like perfect or anything and it doesn't look good. Like, at least look good in like your standard beauty, like your typical beauty standards. But I always like the characters with like super unique smiles, whether it's like kind of crooked or something like that. But we will take, Hile being smug because it is, at the end of the day, it is not very far off and it is still in character. And he would definitely like try to ego diff someone. And it's like, I guess it helped me figure out what kind of person he was. So, that's always a win in the end. The first version of Hele ever created was actually back in 2020 when I was pretty young. There was a trend on TikTok by an artist. I forget their name. I'll put it up on the screen right now. But they ended up creating like a art trend or like a universe under the hashtag rat prince and pets and royals, I believe. And it would essentially just be like royalty who would, I'm not sure if they would rule over the pets or they would basically be like embodiments of like certain animals and stuff. And a lot of people joined in and they made their own characters for the universe, and I thought it was really swell, so I ended up making my own. Hole's original name was Prince Jimin, which had no correlation whatsoever to anything. I don't know why I chose a Korean name, because tigers are really commonly from China, and also the fashion that I gave him was also heavily Chinese inspired. So I'm not sure what I was thinking, honestly. But there was also one pose I chose to draw him in, and I actually did not know the meaning of this pose when I originally drew it because I was young and very unaware and super innocent. And my friend ended up telling me like, hey, that pose is like kind of sus, but they never explained it to me, so I never really knew until probably like 2 or 3 years ago, which is really recent. And it was definitely like a wow moment because I should not have been drawing that kind of stuff at that age. So glad I know now. At least I will not be doing that again. I actually forgot to record the last half of this part, so
enjoy the time lapse. But yeah, this is Hale. The second character's name is Ame, which means candy in Japanese. I ended up coming up with this name for Art Fight last year and kind of had trouble with it actually. I didn't know what to name him because I didn't really have a personality for him at the time. So he was kind of like a struggle to figure out character-wise, because generally when I character design or when I'm like figuring out a character, I like to write them first, and it makes it easier for me to like communicate what kind of character they are through the design rather than if I were to just make the character right away without thinking about anything. Because I also really like writing, and I am actually like, I have like 10 different stories like in progress right now, which are probably never ever gonna get published. Like, they're just whips, and they're gonna be forever whips and ever in my drafts on my Google Docs. So initially when I was writing Amit, the plan for him was for him to be really mellow and just quiet, and I kind of didn't end up liking that idea, so I went with a more cunning and, you know, charming kind of route. So he's very good with people, he has charisma, he knows how to talk to people, but that does not mean that he likes people. So he will do what he needs to do, but he doesn't like people. But yeah, he is kind of introverted, but he will talk to whoever if he needs to. Him and Hale are actually like, I'm still deciding whether they'd be like adoptive brothers or just like cousins or something like that, but I know that I want them to be related in some way. So they are definitely the type of people to get into trouble all the time, and I have a lot of fun just imagining like the scenarios and just the stupid stuff they'd get into, you know, on their free time, and all the chaos that they create in their town. Ame was actually originally my persona back in 2021 when I wanted to become a VTuber. He was one of the first designs that I'd ever made, and I still really love him. So there is like definitely a little bit of favoritism when I compare to some other characters that I have. When I initially designed him, he was supposed to be a komainu, and that was like the original concept that I had for him. Komainus are guardian dogs of, I believe, Japanese shrines. I'm not sure if they're also in other Asian countries, but I did take this idea from, you know, trying to find stuff related to Japanese shrines. And I actually there were not many Komainu VTubers at the time, so I thought I was like so creative and, you know, like being so unique about it. He actually ended up keeping my VTuber lore, and that is technically his lore now, but I'm planning to change it soon, so I'm not gonna say it here just in case it does change, because, you know, I don't want it to be too inaccurate, because it is probably going to change relatively soon, especially since Art Fight is coming up. And the main reason that I'm redoing these character sheets is because I wanted to, you know, prepare a little early for Art Fight. His design was heavily inspired by, you know, like shrine outfits, and I really think that I did it pretty well. He has like an off-the-shoulder type of thing for I I'm not sure, his kimono, which is me trying to convey how like kind of, you know, charismatic he is. He's definitely not afraid to use, you know, his body to convince people to do stuff, you know, in that charismatic, cunning fox way. And yeah, on the topic of art fight though, the wisteria on his like collar, I'm gonna call it, actually came from art fight. Like coincidentally enough, last year was the first year I had him up on art fight, and 2 people, I think like in pretty quick succession, drew him with wisteria and the things. And I was like also like at the same time I was kind of like thinking what kind of character I wanted him to be and like what direction I wanted to take him in. And like wisteria was on the back of my mind. So like having 2 people submit attacks to me that had wisteria in it, that just like hit the nail on the head. And I just knew that I had to, you know, kind of incorporate wisteria in his design somewhere when I redesigned him. And I actually really like how much it adds to like him, especially since I just learned about this recently, but wisteria is actually an invasive species. So I think it also, like in that sense, it really fit in with this character, and probably I'm gonna put it somewhere in his lore, so keep an eye on that if you are gonna be a part of art fight this year. I actually tried to also, you know, draw some expressions for Ame's character sheet as well, but I couldn't really, you know, draw anything that fit him right, so I ended up scrapping it, and that's why there's like a head on the side of the screen at one point. I ended up just replacing where I normally put like the expression, or I would have put the expressions, with his fox form. And you know, please use references, guys. They are actually so helpful. Like I cannot stress this enough. If you want to improve at art or like learn anything at all, like make sure to use references. It is so hard just drawing from imagination, especially if you are like still new to drawing, or you know, like even as someone who has been drawing for over 13 years, like references are so helpful. So yeah, I don't think I've ever drawn a fox before, so this is the first time I've drawn like an actual, like the animal fox. So I'm not sure how well it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good. I don't know how to draw animal feet, so they're just nubs, don't mind that. But he can turn into a fox. He is actually like more comfortable in this form, so whenever, like, you know, if he and Hale ever need to run, Ame will just ditch Hale because Ame has access to the fox form, and obviously he's faster probably than Hale. So I really like thinking about scenarios like that, because it would be really funny to just see Hale getting stranded by Ame. For both the character designs, I kind of already had in mind what I wanted to do with them, so it wasn't really hard for me to, you know, figure out how I wanted them to look, especially since I had drawn them before and I already knew what kind of like their faces would look like and like how their hair would be. All I really needed to do was like design their outfit essentially. And I, you know, since I already had a sort of idea for like what kind of people they are and what backstory was, or not the backstory, but like the context of, you know, where they came from, it was really easy for me to like kind of figure out what I wanted to put them in. So this is just me like trying to lay out, you know, the actual sheet and put it in a way that's probably readable but also looks nice, so it's not just like super plain. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. This is my first video, so please feel free to leave comments about how I could improve anything. And I will read everything. And thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoyed. And hopefully, if you are on Art Fight, you come and say hi. So, love you guys. See you in the next video. If I make a next video, fingers crossed. Bye.